Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So once again, we're returning to another discussion about Sweet Baby Inc. because a lot of members of the industry, including the games journalists who they are friends with, are trying to grift this entire situation as much as they can. They see valid criticism being launched against Sweet Baby Inc. and they're trying to cash in on this controversy by making themselves the victims. Unfortunately, the result is mainly people just laughing at them because all these games journalists and industry members can do is try to monetize their own humiliation fetish as people laugh at them in their articles. But nonetheless, we have a bigger discussion today because we now have an official statement from the co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc. This is something that he posted on his LinkedIn page. You know, people are seething when they're complaining about something on their LinkedIn page. But let's start here. David Bedard making this statement saying, "For the past 4 months, my company, Sweet Baby Inc., has been targeted by a far-right harassment campaign slash conspiracy theory." Very interesting. But it's important to note, he says for 4 months. Now, despite the very loud amount of attention being directed towards Sweet Baby Inc. the last couple of weeks, there have been people on their trail for several months now. And as this magnifying lens on their company has grown, it really shows how irresponsible all of these employees at Sweet Baby Inc. are because they know they're being watched by critics and still they're doing very reckless things on social media that's making the reputation even worse. But this idea of a far-right harassment campaign and conspiracy theory, very interesting. This is the harassment campaign, a sting group called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, where this is their entire mission, for letting people know if a game is involved with this company. That's what a far-right conspiracy harassment campaign looks like in the eyes of David. However, we also know that this group is literally run by a Brazilian man, and in terms of this misinformation and conspiracy theories, all they're doing is taking the list of games and clients that Sweet Baby Inc. is publicly sharing on their own website. So is that misinformation or a conspiracy? Well, according to the co-founder, apparently it is. But also in terms of a harassment campaign, you'll never see this co-founder or anyone at Sweet Baby Inc. or any of these games journalists for that matter ever address how this whole situation started with a harassment campaign launched by a Sweet Baby Inc. employee trying to deplatform and slander the Brazilian man in charge of this Steam group. But moving forward in their statement, it says, "This is a tough situation for me, my co-founder Kim Belair, our entire team, and our collaborators. More than the frustrations caused by the harassment and the precautions we're putting in place as a result of that, the toughness that comes from the fact that this entire campaign is based on misinformation. Misinformation so wild in left field, or right field, I guess, that's impossible to even engage with it to combat it." And we see Kim Belair here, the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc. A lot of people have been finding clips of various statements that she has made about her company and their goals. And despite other members of the industry like this trying to give off the idea that Kim Belair and Sweet Baby Inc. are not trying to force diversity on the characters, they're not trying to force these companies to work with them, we know that it's right in their goddamn about section of their homepage where they explicitly state that they're trying to diversify games. And we also know that Kim Belair has made several statements where she has made it clear that she will do whatever is necessary, including threatening these companies to get them to work with them and to diversify these games and to inject their woke narrative into them as well. But there's also a new clip going around of Kim Belair where she is talking about trying to elevate other marginalized people into the industry to the point where they will take over. She will not stop until they take over this industry.
We work very hard to get marginalized talent into the industry, to protect them the way that we would want to have been protected, to lift them up, and to get them into an industry where they're too often shut out. And basically, I think to take over in the hopes that some really dope people will be able to lead into kind of a new era for an industry that's been kind of, the same way too long. If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years,
put this stuff up to your higher ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
So the co-founder David would continue with this, saying, "So we spoke with the press to clear things up about exactly what we do and how we do it. Adding our voices to this conversation felt necessary because what is happening to us is something that has happened before in this industry and will happen again. It happens to not just us, but also to countless other devs, players, journalists, and creators." So when they spoke with the press, who do you think they're talking with? Of course, they're talking with their friends and their connections in this industry, including people like Alyssa, the Kotaku author responsible for the first main article about the Sweet Baby Inc. situation, where we know from reviewing this article it is filled with all kinds of ridiculous claims, and at its foundation, it ignores the entire reason this happened in the first place, which has been reflected and shared by literally every article covering the situation. They fail to mention the fact that all of this started with criticism being directed towards a Sweet Baby Inc. employee who started a harassment campaign against the Steam group that was tracking their company's games and clients. That's how it started, and every single article about the situation intentionally ignores this. Either they're doing this because they're unethical and they're choosing to ignore this key piece of information, or they are simply incompetent because they don't see the very foundation of this entire situation and they haven't seen it, so therefore they must be incompetent. But moving forward, we got another article yesterday, this time from Game Developer, where they ask a very burning question saying, "Why are Valve and Discord permitting harassment against Sweet Baby Inc.?" Well, I think this question is quite unfair because there is no harassment taking place. In fact, the only person who looks like they're doing any harassment is the Kotaku author who is in that Discord server of the Steam group trying to obtain personal information from the innocent users of that server, which is definitely something I think Discord would try to weed out. This is something they definitely don't want happening on their platform. But continuing, the senior editor from Game Developer would ask this: "We reached out to Valve and Discord multiple times to ask how a group using their platform to target a company was within the bounds of their terms of service. No answer yet." Well, here's the issue right now. I will make this very clear. This might hurt the ego of someone like Bryant here, but nobody cares about games journalists. You guys exist to be laughed at. And this is not 2014, back when gaming journalists actually had a little bit of clout and power and were able to end up on national news sources and speak in front of the UN and things like that. Nobody cares. Random Twitter users and shit posters have more clout and influence than games journalists here in 2024. Everyone is just laughing at you, and you have no authority or any sort of power that people want to use for their own gain. The only people who are going to support this is other games journalists and people trying to inject woke narratives in the gaming industry, which is not the majority. People are finally figuring out what's going on in this industry as a whole. But the reason you got no answer back yet is because, well, it's obvious. They have already chosen their path. Valve has made it very clear that Kabrutus, the leader of the Steam group, is going to be fairly treated, and that the false reports against their Steam group have been taken care of. There's your answer. And going forward about, these conversations and reaching out to people for further dialogue and things like that, we've seen YouTubers with journalism backgrounds like Craig here try to reach out to the Kotaku author, writing out this paragraph here where Alyssa would simply respond with one word in an email response saying, "pass." And worse yet, she would take to Twitter to have this unprofessional breakdown, of course with the replies locked, saying, "Getting a lot of emails about this, and yes, I am available to talk on your podcast/streams. Unless you're a loser, then I will not." Obviously referring to people like Craig, and it's incredibly unprofessional from a journalist, someone who's supposed to be a professional, but that's just to be expected from someone like Alyssa or their kind. But moving forward, the statement continues saying, "Everyone who has reached out to me with kind words of support has also asked me what they can do to help, And it took me a while to find an answer to this question, but I think I finally know. This is what you can do to help. So I'm assuming here that this co-founder is addressing some of the very, very concerning racist statements and also harassment campaigns that are taking place in this related industry. Oh, and David, I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about journalists and members of your own company. We've seen people like Kotaku author Alyssa here go on an anti-racist rant against white people and trying to spread misinformation and dangerous rhetoric that you can't be racist to a group of people when you discriminate against them based on the color of their skin. We've seen other Kotaku members come to her defense and support this dangerous rhetoric. We've also seen this Kotaku author share and repost a statement made by one of your employees who mocked Akira Toriyama only hours after his passing was announced on social media. We've also seen no answer from anybody at Sweet Baby Inc. or any members of the games journalist industry address the fact that a Sweet Baby Inc. employee tried to slander and harass a Steam group and its owner simply because it identified the games that this company has worked on. In fact, we've seen other Sweet Baby Inc. employees have other tweets dredged up, like this Lego Butts individual who has made many, many disparaging remarks about white people. And if you want to make the ridiculous claim that you can't be racist against white people, well, what about these claims? Do you care about any of these claims? We haven't heard a single thing said about this by Sweet Baby Inc. or any of these games journalists where this Lego Butts individual has made slurs against black people, slurs against gay people, and has said very, very violent threats against Jewish people. Not a single word about this from Sweet Baby Inc. or any of their associates. But anyways, here's the response. I don't think they care about those things. In fact, here's their statement. This is what you can do. Check in on your marginalized colleagues and friends in the industry. Oh yeah. How about you start by checking in on the Brazilian man that is the target of a harassment campaign as a result of your employees and your associates in the industry. How about you start with that one, David? But anyways, continuing, he says, make sure they're okay. Let them know that they are loved, that they are appreciated, that they are welcome, and that they are talented. Tell them you're not going to let this kind of hate push them out of the industry. Tell them that things like this won't scare all of their community away, that they are protected, and that they have a place here now more than ever. I'd be really grateful if you did that. Dude, for a LinkedIn message, this is all kinds of seething, coping, and all around just embarrassing, okay? This is just a sad thing to have to post on your LinkedIn, and it is a huge and just disingenuous set of messages that are trying to push you away from what's really happening here. And it's the unethical and hateful behavior of Sweet Baby Inc. employees and games journalists and other members of the industry as a whole. They will not address a single thing that is in this video. All of these tweets, we have literally dozens of examples of bad behavior going on in their own company and in the related industry, and they will not address a single thing. They will not address any of it. In fact, all they will do, based on what we've observed, is defend it and excuse it. But no, it's the boogeymen out there. It's the gamers. It's the Brazilian man starting a Steam group that are the far-right harassment and conspiracy campaigns that are really at fault for this whole situation. When people like this co-founder simply cannot take an honest look at his own company and at the industry as a whole and take accountability. Instead, they hide behind walls of text like this on their LinkedIn page. Pathetic. But of course, we see a ton of hypocrisy about this statement where other supporters within the industry are complaining about other developers using their LinkedIn pages to have conversations about Sweet Baby Inc. and the overall situation, where this user says, you can tell a harassment campaign has a genuine danger of going mainstream when you see posts break containment from social media and break into professional networks like LinkedIn. This is not the kind of discourse I expect to see amongst devs and is hugely disappointing. So all you see here is a couple of devs talking about Sweet Baby Inc. and saying, based on everything we've seen and the response of gamers to this company, thank God we don't work with them. And yeah, these devs, based. Thank you for pointing us to their direction, because I'm glad to know that there's some developers out there that are seeing through the garbage that is Sweet Baby Inc. and anyone who supports them. But of course, you see other members of the industry saying incredibly disgusting behavior here. We are absolutely not tolerating that stuff, while of course tolerating the misdeeds and hateful responses of Sweet Baby Inc. employees and these Kotaku journalists. But you know, that's to be expected at this point. But that is the current update to this Sweet Baby Inc. situation. As you can tell, March has been defined by this situation because the people involved keep dragging this out because they are very frustrated that they're not getting the clout that they thought they were going to get, and they're not getting the attention and the grift that they thought they would achieve with these ongoing campaigns. But you know what? All you can do is really point and laugh at them and give them the fair criticism that they deserve. And that's exactly what we're going to do in videos like this. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. As always, share all of your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys next time.